Hey everyone, you're listening to Party Time, My Golf Story with Kevin Walsh and whatever special guest he has today. You can check me out on episode 9 of the podcast. Today I'm wearing Grayson clothes while I'm out practicing because I believe in look good, play good. And follow me on Instagram, Sophia Warren Golf, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers. And the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Vizzacaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com. Now here's your host, Kevin Walsh.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the program. We're still on the road. I'm coming to you from Ledyard, Connecticut, where the temperature last I checked was 36 degrees. And my next guest reminded me that it's 76 degrees in Central Florida. But I've made a vow since I moved south, I'm not going to become one of those softies that wears a ski cap when it's in the 50s, and I'm not wearing a sweater when it's below 70. If it's below 60, yes, I will wear a sweater. But the softies, I love making fun of them, and I can't be a hypocrite, so I got to be tough. And it's cold inside my dad's house in Ledyard, Connecticut right now, so that's why I got a sweater on right now. Brian Richey is our guest. He has been a guest before. He is the golf coach, men's golf coach at Florida Southern, a graduate of Florida Southern. He's been a veteran of the Korn Ferry Tour, PGA Tour Americas, PGA Tour Canada, and he also plays on some mini tours still. Moving away from the chasing the dream and the daily grind of professional golf, but we will talk about that and how difficult it can be and to balance life as a family. More family time now, more responsibilities, but there's a trade-off to certain things. And Brian's going to speak honestly about what he loves about his new life and what he misses about his old life. But I think in the end, he still has a foot like in each pond, but he's more fully immersed in the family and the working lifestyle instead of the nomadic experience of being a golf professional chasing the dream. Before we go any further, if you haven't subscribed to the podcast, would you do so? It makes a big difference with all the algorithms, all the nerds at YouTube, Spotify, Apple. They all watch that stuff, and so do our sponsors. All right. So please subscribe if you haven't. Leave a 5-star review and leave some comments because that matters as well. Speaking of our sponsors, Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course, try a Party. What's so good about Party? Well, it's a real cocktail in a can. Top level spirits inside. So you're not drinking those janky hard seltzers and everything that leave an aftertaste and you pretend tastes good, just like you pretend that yogurt and diet soda tastes good, which we all know they don't, but clearly, people drink it because they think they're getting something out of it. Go for the real stuff. I mean, come on. And if you don't have that at your golf course, get in contact with the professional staff, the golf staff, or the beverage staff, and say, hey, we need Party here because it's for golfers, by golfers, and Paradise Craft Distributors is the exclusive distributor of Party across the state of Florida. Also available in New England, but expanding across America, getting bigger and bigger and making some of those drinks named after a time of day very nervous. And that is our goal as we try to take over. If golf real estate is in your future plans, great time to buy. The market, it's a buyer's market, and there's no better place than Lakewood National Golf Club, where this podcast usually originates from. And there's no better golf pro real estate team than the team at suncoastdreams.com, the division of fine properties in the greater Sarasota area. Vince Vizzacaro, Gene Walsh, and Samantha Walsh got you covered. If you want to play golf with me and live in golf paradise like Lakewood National Golf Club, Gene, Vince, and Samantha got you covered. And if all that golf has got you tuckered out and you need to unwind, if you need red light therapy, cold water plunge, hot tub, massage, whatever you like, then Violet Spa in downtown Sarasota has got you covered with that. All right, let's bring Brian Richey back on board. Hey, man, good to see you.
Kevin, thanks for having me. What's going on?
Not much here, but there's a lot going on in your life, and that's why I wanted to catch up. Hey, man, you still got it, okay? You still got it. So tell me about yesterday. You played in West Florida golf tour, finished tied for second. How did that happen?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously still know how to play the game. I wasn't as sharp as I'd like to be with my golf swing and, contact maybe of hitting my shots, but I still know how to manage myself around the golf course. My short game, even though I don't practice anymore, my short game is still pretty good. I got good hands. So, Yeah, it was fun. I like to play. It was at the Ritz-Carlton there in I guess Lakewood Ranch or Bradenton. I'm not sure the address, but yeah, it's a great golf course. Christian from the West Florida Tour usually goes there once or twice a year, and if I'm available, I like to go down there and play just because it's a fun track, and I can get a kind of a good rep in and still kind of feel some nerves, get the juices flowing a little bit.
Well, you told me you were going, so I followed online. And just before we started the recording here, I looked, and there you were, tied for second, 3 under par 69. And then I was thinking, he probably left a couple out there, but we did a little pre-talk before we started recording here, and you're like, nah, I got the most out of that I could, all things considered. Why don't you walk me through it?
Yeah, for the most part, I hit some loose shots, but I saved most of them. I think I had one bogey, and it was just a bad iron shot, and I hit a pretty good pitch shot and missed the putt. But yeah, I mean, I had my up and down percentage was really good. I wasn't in too much trouble at all, but yeah, I definitely wasn't firing every shot at my target. So it was fun to kind of manage around. I stayed really patient. The back nine is where I started, and it was playing a little bit tougher. The front nine, I got after it pretty good. I had a couple wedge shots I could have hit closer maybe, or leave my second shot in a better place on a par 5, maybe to make an easier birdie. But yeah, that was as far as like leaving shots out there. I didn't really miss any putts that I should have made. I think my shortest putt that I missed was maybe 10 feet. So I was really, really clean from inside of 8 feet, which was, I'm a great putter. I've always been a good grinder, inside 7-8 feet for par or birdie, but I certainly wasn't expecting to make all of them. So that was fun to at least keep it clean and kind of grind through it.
And to feel the nerves. And as we were texting the other day, you said you do miss the grind, but I know you value the family time that you have now, which is, I think, what every professional golfer that's chasing the dream is always trying to manage. It's when you're on the road, you're missing your family. That hurts the golf and everything, but that's the tug of war that's going on. How is life? What's I know you have the coaching responsibilities at your alma mater, but you're spending a lot of good quality family time. What's it been for you?
For sure. Yeah, it's been great. It's been definitely a change. There's a lot of different things that are going into, my day to day. I get to take my kids to daycare and pick them up most days. My wife works from home a couple days a week, so we kind of balance. I usually take them if I'm home, or if I don't have to be anywhere super early, I can take them on my way to work or on my way to the office. So that's been nice, being home every night for dinner, bedtime, bath time sort of stuff. That 2.5 hours with 2 young kids at the end of the day is a rush. So trying to go, we call it a fast break. If one of us is gone for dinner or has something after work, it's a 2-on-1 fast break with the 2 little ones. So no, it's been fun to be home. Like you mentioned, I do miss the grind. I spent, the better part of my life, 15 years as a professional, and that's, it's selfish in nature, right? You're playing for yourself. You're, missing family stuff. You're missing friends' birthdays and weddings, and you're living life on the road most of the time if you're fully into it, which I was. So that's been a little bit of an adjustment. Luckily, with the coaching, I still get to, a lot of people actually leave coaching because of travel sometimes if they have kids. With me, this is just enough travel. It's, anywhere from 55 to 60 days on the road. Compared with 200 days on the road is way better. But it still gives me enough to where I'm not getting antsy sitting at home. And, I feel like I can still make a difference with my new responsibilities, with, the coaching side of things. That's been an adjustment as well, just jumping into this with not really planning on being a coach, when it happened, just the timing was right. But as far as, life is good, a lot less stress, although I've already, lost all my hair from all those 6-footers for par that I had to make over the years, but, and all the little bit of gray in my beard, but, everything's good. So like you said, I'm still want to dip my toe in the water every now and then and get a little rep here and there.
You said the word selfish, and that is how it has to be, because if you're not selfish with your time and the demands of the game, then you cannot have success. And as soon as you said that, I thought about Gary Player. And he talked about, like, he had a bunker in the backyard, and sometimes they'd have family dinners, they'd have parties with the neighbors and all this stuff. And he could not come in until he accomplished what he had to, be it the bunker play or the short game play. And he'd be out there, he could see everybody on the back deck having a whale of a time, like looking out, when you coming in. He's like, I'm not ready. And the non-golfers don't understand it. You understand that perfectly, don't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if you're trying to make this your life and your living, everybody, even now more so than even almost 2 years ago when we first spoke on here, everybody's so good now. And if you're not putting the work in, somebody else is. I know you can't play defense against another player, but all you can do is play offense. You can only get your game in as good a place as you can with your strengths, improving your weaknesses. It's a selfish, we're golfers. We're not a team sport. So, it's perfectly natural for, all of us to be a little bit more on the selfish side when it comes to, your time and your practice and your preparation, and there's a balance that you have to strike with that. And as you grow as a human and as you get older, you get married, you have kids, and that balance becomes much tougher because you don't want to miss either side of it. If you're a full competitor and grinder and practicer like I was, you feel like you're missing time where you should be getting better, if there's things pulling you away from that. But then at the same time, you have responsibilities and you have a love for your family that you need to be there for them too. So it's a tough balance. I appreciate and respect the guys who have made it to the top of the game, and also having, a family life and balance in that. It's not an easy feat.
Brandel Chambly comes to mind too. He said it so succinctly. He said a PGA Tour player is either practicing or he's feeling guilty about not practicing. But when he's practicing, he's feeling guilty that he's not spending time with his family. And back when he was hired by the Golf Channel many years ago, he said he was submitting his acceptance of their offer like at the fax machine back when we had those things. And he's like, there goes my golf career. I think it's worked out well for him. People have different opinions about Brandel. Yeah. I like the guy. The last time we talked, Brian, we had a interesting visitor on the show that kind of hijacked the conversation. That's not going to happen today.
No, I'm at the office today, so my dog's at home. But he would love to jump in and say hi.
Yeah, you remember what happened? Take us back.
I think he just was sitting by my foot. He basically, if I'm home, he's touching my leg or what. He's next to me all the time. He follows me everywhere. And I think we were talking for a while, and then next thing you know, he just popped up and wanted some attention. So then he ended up in the shot.
It was great. He was the first dog to hijack an interview. My sister-in-law's dog actually jumped up on my computer and was like right in front of the screen. Who is your dog? What kind of dog is it? And what's his name?
Golden Doodle. His name is Finn. So he's just turned 4. He's 4, but he's going on 1. He's really still a puppy and hyper, and but he 90% of his life he lays around and chills. And then when people are around or people come over to the house, and he's going crazy and hyper and excited to see people. So
Brian Richey, the golf coach at Florida Southern, is our guest here on Party Time, brought to you by Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course, try Party. If golf or real estate is in your plans, no place better than Lakewood National Golf Club and the greater Lakewood Ranch area, and nobody better than suncoastdreams.com, a division of fine properties. Gene Walsh, Samantha Walsh, and Vince Vizzacaro got you covered. And if all that golf has got you tired out, go to BioLit Spa in downtown Sarasota. So how'd you get the job? And was your expectations going in, and then the reality of what it was? How did they square?
Yeah, so I got the job. The previous coach was a friend of mine and actually a teammate of mine here at Florida Southern. And he had stepped down right before their spring season started last year, right at the end of January. And I had missed it second stage, about a year ago this time. So I was kind of searching for, I was wanting to play still a little bit, but, also having a second kid, was looking for some different ways to, spread my wings a little bit in different areas. So I had mentioned to him that I'd be willing to help the team out, until I kind of found something more permanent as an assistant, maybe. But when he stepped down, he kind of told me, he's like, if you're interested in the interim position, I'm happy to vouch for you. And so that's kind of how it happened. Was they needed a coach in about a 2-week turnaround for our home tournament. So, and having played here and was familiar with a lot of the staff still at school, and a lot of our supporters, and some of the guys on the team, even I knew a couple of the older guys, but yeah, just kind of raised my hand and said, hey, I'm happy to coach for the spring. I don't know beyond that what's going to happen, whether, it works out for me or whether they like me or I liked it or whatever. So it was kind of the perfect storm of they need a coach for the spring. And I was like, I'm familiar with all these golf courses. I know the game, the coaching stuff I'll figure out as far as like the logistics stuff. And I can do that, but just the day to day with the paperwork and the emailing, like I can figure that out as I go, but like they need somebody on the grass and to be at practice with them and to pick them up. Obviously they were probably stunned that the coach was leaving mid-season, as we all were. So yeah, that's long story short of how it started. So the spring season went well. I really enjoyed it. We had some good success. So when it came time, kind of early June, we met and kind of we made it permanent. So that was really it. So I know I forgot the second part of your question, but that was kind of the beginning of how it started.
No, I think, I guess the second part is like, how's it been? It is being around the kids, young adults, but we're old enough that anybody under 30 seems like a kid to us. How are they? Do they keep you young? What has changed about today's college golf experience back with when you were doing it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So yeah, they keeping me young. I mean, I'm hanging out with 18 to 23 year olds. I don't know if I have anyone that's 23, but if not, they're close because I have a couple of 5th-year guys, 3 5th-year guys. But yeah, they keep me young. It's great to kind of still be around competition. I will play occasionally with them. Practice some with them around the short game area. But yeah, it's keeping me engaged with what I'm good at. Right? I know golf. I know this game at a high level. And if I was to do something completely out of the game or starting over with, a different career, I'd probably be a little bit lost, whereas right now, I mean, I know how to help them in little different ways to kind of improve. And I think they have confidence knowing that I can show them, and I have done it before, that it reinforces that like, hey, I know kind of what I'm saying, for the most part. I'm not right all the time, but I feel like I can give them little things, and I usually will point them in the direction of, you could try this or this for this type of shot or whatever, kind of let them choose still, but kind of lead them to, hey, these are your 1 or 2 or 3 options that I see with this shot or with this technique or whatever it may be. But, and then as far as how they've changed now compared to when I was playing, through here, was just a level of talent. I mean, these kids, we're a Division II program, but you wouldn't know it. We have Division I level players, and these kids are, my first qualifier this fall, we had 2 of our freshmen shoot 30 and 26 under for 7 rounds right out of high school, right out of junior golf, and they come right in. And I mean, it was obviously, we knew they were good and we knew they were ready to come in here and make an impact. But I was like, whoa,
holy smokes! That
and even our upperclassmen were kind of like, okay, I see what we got going on. So yeah, but just the level through all levels of golf. I mean, you've seen it, from the PGA Tour down through each level of professional golf. It's bleeding all the way down into, junior golf and college golf. Everybody's good. And all that does when everybody's really good is it makes everybody get really that much better, because to stick out and to continue to, improve each year or move up a level, you have to, like we talked about with the professional side, you have to be putting the work in because somebody else is, if you're not, so I think that's what you're seeing is just a trickle down of, everything, perfect storm of everything helping, right? Technology, equipment, more athletic, more athletes playing golf now, people know how to hit it farther. They know how to play aggressive. Everyone has their systems now with the way they practice with their coaches and their, statistics. There's all sort of different things that are kind of thrown into a blender of leading to improvement and the level of talent continuing to increase.
Well, I know how good Florida Southern is because we actually scrimmaged. I went to Purdue, and we would come down to the old Sun Air, which is not there anymore. Sometimes we'd go over to Bloomingdale Golfers Club in Valrico, and we saw how good Florida Southern was up close. Now, part of it is we were coming down in March. We hadn't been outside for months. We're knocking off Russ, and the courses are tight, and the guys are just ripping it down the fairway with like no stress. And we're just trying to steer something.
You're trying to just get it airborne, see where it's going and what how it's flying,
Well, because we were hitting in nets, and like we didn't have simulators then, so we may have been grooving bad habits, and we didn't even know it. But Brian, the one thing that stands out to me more than anything, you mentioned the length of the guys. When I played, the long guys were 300 yards, and that seemed like miles. Now it seems to me that the good college golfers, it starts at 300, and then the extra long guys are like 340 to 360, and they hit it straight. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. I mean, sometimes what a guy carries a driver and how far a guy hits a driver can be a little bit skewed. But yeah, most of the guys that are good athletes and have good height and, already are a decent height coming out of, high school, most of them are flying at least 290 to 300, on the regular basis, where, some of that is, like I said, the equipment, just knowing how to swing hard, how to create speed. The ball doesn't curve as much anymore. The clubs, the club heads are bigger. That's a whole nother can of worms to go down that rabbit hole. But yeah, it all kind of favors just aggressive play, swing hard, because the ball's not going to go too far offline, and then you figure out how to get it in the hole. The guys who are still playing the best, at the college level, we don't play a ton of 7,400 yard golf courses. Most of them are still in that 68 to 7,200 or 69 to 7,300, but you still got to have short game and course management. But yes, the length is the biggest thing for what keeps guys from, shooting too high of scores. It keeps them already in the ballpark for staying around par or shooting under par, because they've just kind of made the golf course a little bit easier with that length. Right.
You just don't see the 80s anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas like back when I was playing, not many 80s, but occasionally there were a couple north of that.
A guy's bad day would be an 80 or 82. And now a guy's bad day most of the time is a 75 or 74, 76 maybe, so you don't see a whole lot of that,
Right. So you were talking about, so you have the credibility out that wazoo playing professional golf. And I imagine some of your team members are looking to that thing. How hands-on are you with stuff? You said you give them suggestions and everything, but do you wait for them to come to you, or do you get involved? Because my experience with my coach, Joe Campbell, the late Joe Campbell at Purdue, was he's like, hey, you know what you need to be working on. If you need me, I'm here. But he kind of let us be on our own. What's your style?
Yeah, when I took over as the interim in the spring, I basically came from a position of I'm additive, right? I'm not going to change anything in the middle of the season. We were down a few guys with injury, so we had a small roster. We only had 7 healthy players for the spring out of 10. So that was it was tougher for our depth and our, what we could do competitively. We were limited we didn't have as many guys to push each other to get better. But from my perspective, it was more time with each player because we didn't have as many guys. So now that we're back to 9, we got healthy. But yeah, I tell them they all have their own swing coaches. I'm not going to offer any swing suggestions, or I'm not going to fix your grip or anything like that. If you come to me and ask me, hey coach, I'm struggling with this type of shot, or how do you hit this shot or whatever, I'm happy to look at that. That's more like setup stuff or feels or little kind of tricks or cheats, I call them, to hey, you cheat the face open or closed or whatever, you want to just shade it a certain way. Short game and course management and putting, for the most part, I still want them to come to me if they want a technical help, but I'm probably more willing to I just will straight up offer my kind of what I see with that sort of stuff, because it's not golf swing related. That's more simple fixes. You start messing with somebody's swing or telling them something, you don't want them to think about something in their middle of their swing about something. But yeah, they know that they can come to me with anything they need or that they want. When we're at the tournaments, for the most part, and I try to keep myself, like I said, I'm more additive still, and I want to offer it and lead them to a couple options, present the options to them, and they can choose, because they're the ones hitting the shot. They're the ones that have to play the golf hole. And I tell, this is one of the first things I said when I started in these practice rounds. I said, guys, if I hear anybody get up on a hole, someone that's maybe played the tournament, if they're a senior or junior, they've played it a few times, and they say, "Oh, it's a 3-wood hole," then I'm going to be like, that's the most ridiculous thing you could say, because you don't know what the wind is. You don't know what the wind is going to be the next 2 days. You might hit your 3-wood 260. Well, another guy might hit it 280, or this guy might hit it 250. So we talk about more like, what's the area we want to hit the shot off the tee. And I'm big on the wind. Like, as a golfer, like, I was looking at the wind every day, even my practice days. I want to know where the wind's at on the golf course. So I never want to make a great swing and hit a good shot, and it doesn't get as close to the hole as it can, because I didn't do my homework on, that was actually a little bit into the wind instead of, so I'm all about the details, if I can, because that stuff matters. You're talking, you get down to the nitty gritty, you're trying to shave quarters and thirds of shots throughout a tournament. If I can pick up a half shot or a quarter shot here and there with knowing something else, that my opponent maybe doesn't know. But yeah, very much additive. Present them like on a golf shot that I'm helping with. Hey, this is where we want to hit it. I see 2 different options here. And then I let them choose, because they're the ones hitting it. So, some coaches, older styles or whatever, would, all right, everybody, we're hitting 3-wood off this tee. Well, some guys may not like their 3-wood, or some guys don't have a 3-wood. So I try to give them the freedom to play. They're the ones that have to play. If they're doing something totally, hey, that's unnecessary risk for the team, like, I'll say something, but I want them to kind of be free to play their own games. And they all have, some guys fade it, some guys draw it, some guys hit it far, some guys hit it short. They're their own players, and they wouldn't be here if they weren't great players already. So I'm not trying to, I want them to have the freedom to kind of get out and go, let them run. So
yeah, let them be the captain of their own ship and just get back to being an athlete. Tell me this. I just hear so much talk about ball speed and all this stuff, TrackMan stuff. Now there's this new thing. I don't know what it is, but it looks like a bowling ball bag that they put next to their ball. Like, how much of that are you seeing at the college level with guys, like, they want to know every little detail about their golf swing and the shot?
Yeah. So there's so much good that comes from that, but also you got to be careful not to get too involved in those numbers. So obviously I'm almost 40. So most of my pro career, the TrackMan kind of came a little later. You might have, club companies might have them when you go get fit, or they might have a couple on the tour truck you could borrow. Hey, can I borrow the TrackMan to get some numbers? Then now you go down the range in any event, even some of the America's events I played last summer, you got a third of the guys with a TrackMan or a full swing or a GC quad. So the numbers are definitely important, and they've taken over the game. With specifically to our program, we do have a couple TrackMan simulators indoor in our facility. We have the ability to take them outside too. So the guys are probably, I leave that up to them, like how much numbers stuff they want to do. I know how to get to the numbers. I'm not an instructor, but I know how to read them and understand what I'm looking for. And if they're asking me with, hey, this or that, I can say, okay, well, let's look at these numbers and figure out this is what we got to work on. But yeah, I mean, it's taken over. The GC quad, I think, is maybe the one we're referring to. It's probably a little bit easier. The quad you can just carry around with you in practice rounds and set it down right by each shot. Whereas the TrackMan, you're going to have to set it up and aim it for every shot. So, but yeah, you're seeing it. Some college teams bring the quad. We don't have a quad yet. But yeah, I still think the numbers are good when it comes to maybe more getting your yardages and maybe fitting your equipment. The day-to-day of playing a lot of qualifying and playing a lot of tournaments, I still think the best feedback, and maybe I'm old school, watching the ball fly.
Feel.
How did it feel off the face? And I watch it fly, watch it till it lands, and then rake another ball. Like the guys who hit and rake, like, to me, it's like you're hitting the shot, you're holding your finish till that thing lands. You're absorbing all of it, right? You're watching it fly. Even if it's not windy, you're watching what's it do on the way down or what's it doing on the way up, So, that's to me still is the best feedback on the range. And then that same thing on the golf course. Like, you got to go play and see what you've worked on the range and watch it fly in action. Is it falling right? Is it starting where I want? Is it starting right or left? And is it too low, too high? Is it, that the TrackMan and stuff all helps with all of that, but it still comes down to, like, can you hit the shots when it matters, and can you score your golf ball?
Right. There's a lot more that happens over the 175 yards than the couple of inches that TrackMan and Quad are working with. Although they're pretty spot on with the numbers they have, because a lot of what happens at impact is going to influence the rest of it. So
I'll add one more thing on that. So with our team, I try to tell them, guys, if you're hitting it poorly, like if you're struggling with contact, they already kind of know their path and face numbers. That's kind of probably the most important thing for them is. So I tell them, like, if you're go get on the TrackMan, if you're struggling for a couple of days, and try to get your numbers back to where that's where they should be when you're playing your best. And then like when guys are really hitting it good and playing well, I tell them again, like, let's jump on the TrackMan for 30 minutes. And because you're going to be off in a few weeks or a month or whatever, and have a day or two where you don't hit it perfect, let's get back to these numbers. So I think that's another additive to it, where maybe easier to get back on track whenever you are getting off. Whereas back in the day, you're trying to fix it, or even playing professional, you might be on the road for 4 or 5 weeks without seeing your coach, or you don't even have the FaceTime now. Now you can do FaceTime lessons with an instructor and throw your AirPods in and have a tripod set up, and your coach. Now it's not the same as him being there, but there's a lot more technology now that helps guys not get as farther off of their fundamentals or their technique. So that's another thing that it's just into that blender of everyone has improved the ability to just stay more on top of fundamentals, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it gives you goalposts to work within, and it gives you a bar to reach for if you're trying to get to a certain spot. So winding down here, Brian, are you guys in between seasons? You play in the fall and the spring?
So
am I right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So our fall season is it's a 60-day window. We played 4 tournaments. So some programs will play 5. So you basically get 21 competition days for your full season. So I actually this year decided to load up the spring a little bit more than the fall, just because I feel like I want us playing and peaking towards that championship season down the stretch there in May. But yeah, we're in between. We resume second week of February here at our home tournament at Lone Palm, the Matlock Invitational. So yeah, the guys are practicing a little bit here on their own. I'm at my office is at the facility. So I see them, most, a couple days a week, I'll see most guys, but yeah, we don't have to worry too much here. I mean, our guys are they're hungry. So they're out here getting after it on their own, this off season. So yeah, we'll break here. I guess third week of December, we'll break here for about 2.5 weeks. They'll all go home for a holiday and stuff. And then once we get back kind of January mid or that second week of January 7th or 8th, somewhere in there, we'll get back and we'll get ready to get after it for that first tournament.
No, just get after it. Hey man, good catching up with you. Glad you're playing good golf, and if you knock off a couple of those West Florida golf tour things, let me know. I'll be following. I follow Christian. I follow all the guys online. But Merry Christmas to you, and thanks for coming back. And next time you come back, get Finn involved. All right.
I will. Yeah, we'll do it from home next time.
Finn's always welcome. All right, Brian Richey has been our guest here on Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course, try Party. If golf real estate is in your plans, no better place than the greater Sarasota area, Lakewood National Golf Club, and the golf real estate pros at suncoastdreams.com, a division of fine properties. Gene Walsh, Samantha Walsh, and Vince Vizzacaro have you all set. And if all that golf's got you tuckered out, BioLit Spa in downtown Sarasota is your place. For Brian Richey, I'm Kevin Walsh. We'll see you again next time on Party Time, My Golf Story.
You've been listening to It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers, and the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Vizzacaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com or call 941-220-4000.